What up, y'all? This is the Masked Warrior back at again with another video. Today we are doing SCP-343 versus 106, and I got some news today. Today is my 1 year anniversary of when the first time I smoked. Yay! Yeah, I've been smoking for an entire year now. I'm proud to say that. I know it's probably nothing special and whatnot, but hey. I don't got any weed right now because is this COVID-19. I've been stuck up here and whatnot. And yeah, but I promise in one of my later videos I'm gonna be having some weed and shit on there too. I promise you that in a later video. Also, well, I've been thinking about starting up a new series, probably something like a podcast or something like that, with a few friends of mine. And I'm trying to decide what to call it, and whatnot. But stay tuned for that. And let's get into the video. Oh, and by the way, before we start, don't smoke cigarettes, kids. They're bad for you. I'm not the boss of you.
SCP-343 stood, stone-faced, staring at SCP-106, who probed the pure white room for an exit. Everything that 106 touched turned brown and black and peeled slightly away from his hands and feet. But the room itself was featureless, and it was lit with a glow that didn't really originate from any one point. It was simply bright. SCP-343 stood up as the rotting man tried to reach a hand through the wall again. There's no way out of here right now. You get your little pockets of nothing, and I get mine. The old man looked over at SCP-343 with a lopsided grin that slowly fell.
Release,
it offered with a dark, raspy voice. Eventually. Don't struggle. This is my home, and I can do whatever I want here. And I've been talking to your fellows. They're all quite interesting. The stuff in...
In case you're wondering how hard it is to smoke a cigarette or a cigar through your bandana, it's not difficult. It's just a little annoying, especially when it gets like smoke in your eyes and whatnot. Let's continue.
Containment at the site's just... most of it's born in places I couldn't see, but not you. I know you. You were born out in the open. The shrunken, elderly form of SCP-106 popped up in an instant and advanced on SCP-343, but every step he took gained him no ground. It was as if he was walking through quicksand. No, wait. Mud. The room suddenly shifted, and the two were standing in a muddy trench, lined every 6 feet or so with wooden beams to support the sagging earth to create a space of just 4 or 5 feet to stand in. A nearly transparent soldier with flat, gray eyes suddenly ran between the two of them, partially passing through both. The sound of gunshots echoed briefly in the distance and then were silent.
home.
The old man said with a chuckle. Yes, but we really can't discuss this easily if you're going to remain monolexical. SCP-343 snapped his fingers, and the old man's blackened skin suddenly began to show life. Underneath it was a young soldier, and then clothing appeared, similar in dress to the ghostly soldiers that were now visible all around them. And then the young soldier that had recently been created suddenly shifted over in a blur to the body of the soldier with the gray eyes that had passed by them earlier, who was now sitting in a lonely corner of the trench. "Oh, that is quite a trick," the young man said with a grin, to no one in particular. The remaining soldiers paid him little attention, save for a rare glance filled with scorn. Perhaps they were used to him muttering to himself, or perhaps this was simply a conversation they couldn't hear or see. SCP-343 smirked. "They don't like you." "No, They don't. People seldomly like things they do not understand. Well, that's why I brought you here. I just want to understand what makes you, you. Ah, yes. Returning me to a simpler time, where men fought for God and country. No, not for me. Never for me. This, an SCP-343 motion to the sky, this is designed by men to extract suffering and turn it into something meaningful. Of course. It's beautiful. It's hell. Well, you would know. Maybe it's something you'd know as well, right? I mean, you built your own little dimension,
Whew.
based in part on this place. Well, we all return to the same old standards eventually. This place was a refuge for me. Those men see it as a grave, punishment. But I came here seeking a home. Something happened? Something always happens. I wasn't born a monster. Perhaps I was. But a different kind. The streets of London rejected me, robbed me of the things I wanted. So I took what I wanted, and I came here, one step ahead of the noose. How many people died before you came here? Dozens. Most forgotten. Some were a bit more important, but...
That was actually fairly interesting when he talked about one step ahead of the news. Obviously, he did something wrong, of course, or when he lived in England, and possibly, I don't know. I don't know where he lived. Where 106 used to live. But, I wonder, or you know, I don't know, my brain ain't working. If you guys have your own theories about that, let me know in the comment section, because this seems very interesting so far.
I managed to stay out of the papers, until of course the last one. Now, how was I to know he was a lord? Fitable clothing for nobility, but there's no accounting for taste. And you don't regret any of it. Well, tell me, do you? You're the greatest mass murderer of all time. The young man waved a hand at the trench. All of this is you. Millions march to their deaths for a war that won't change anything, and in 20 years there'll be another. It's even worse. And all you had to do, step in. Say no more, and these people would live. But you and I both know the truth of the matter. A death is just the beginning of our suffering. SCP-343 looked off into the distance, and then he snapped his fingers again. The trench fell away, and the sky darkened to pitch black. The two of them stood in the middle of a dark room, with the sound of a slow drip echoing constantly, and the only thing they could see was each other. This place is important to you. Is this where it ends? What is this place? Magnificent. Black slime climbed up the young man's body, engulfing him in just a second. SCP-343 reached a hand up to snap when the darkened form reached into his chest.
Mine.
SCP-343 gulped suddenly as the hand passed through him, and then he began to choke. He couldn't breathe at all. His hand dropped. His vision went dark.
No gods here.
SCP-343 collapsed to the ground, and SCP-106 finally released him. SCP-343 went to snap his fingers again, but this time he found them covered in a black ichor. His eyes went wide as SCP-106 loomed over him with an impossibly wide grin. The burning black slime was beginning to melt his back as he crawled backwards to try and get away from the monster. Then he found himself slipping through the floor. He sank into the black tar, slowly, screaming, trying to grab at the edges, but he found no purchase. And then,
Sorry about that, guys.
just as suddenly, he
YouTube
fell out into his
notification.
own white room, covered in burning black slime, and he could feel the same substance deep in his lungs. He spent the next few minutes coughing it up, while a dark chuckle echoed off the walls. And that's that. I don't know if I have any more SCP-343 battles in me. I actually could briefly consider killing him off in this particular tale, but then I figured, nah, maybe I'll do.
Okay. One thing I'd like to see later on is SCP-343 versus 682, SCP-682. I'll do a video on him on 682 later in the later, you know, and whatnot. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and shit like that. I want to thank y'all for showing so much support in these videos. My next video, I'm gonna be doing another video from Bedtime Stories. If you don't know the channel, go look at my previous videos. Those, I guess, yes, because there's all sorts of like conspiracy theories and whatnot on there. But I hope you all enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Peace and love to all y'all.